College Place is a video library of noteworthy presentations, panel discussions, and lectures featuring guest speakers and faculty members, taped at one of the Milwaukee Area Technical College's 4 southeastern Wisconsin campuses. These are produced by students in the college's Associate's Degree Program in Television Video Production in coordination with Milwaukee Public Television.
One of the, I guess, the key things for our students, especially the students in the creative industries or going to the creative industries, is what does the creative landscape look like? What does Milwaukee look like for creative now and in the future? And I'd like to welcome Maggie Kuhn-Jacobus from the Creative Alliance Milwaukee, and she's going to share some excellent information and then open up to our panel discussion to follow. So again, welcome. Thank you for coming to MATC.
Thanks, Brian. Wanted to say thank you to Brian and to MATC for inviting Creative Alliance Milwaukee to be here today. Thank you to the panelists who are here. You're going to hear from them in a few minutes. Thanks to Jim McDonald, who's a Creative Alliance Milwaukee board member, a former MATC dean, and a student currently. Woo. So who here considers themselves to be a creative? Okay. Who here works in the creative industries? Okay. Good. All right, who here is a member of the Creative Alliance? Good news for you, we are actually doing a special promo right now. When you go over to the Portfolio Night exhibits, we are doing a special promo through the end of May of free introductory basic membership to Creative Alliance. So next year, you can all raise your hands. So I just took the job of the executive director and president of Creative Alliance about 4 months ago. I'm originally from Milwaukee, but I have been out of the city and the state and actually the country for about 8 years. So I'm kind of coming back in as a Milwaukeean, but also with a fresh eye and a fresh look at what's here and what are the assets that are here. And as I've been talking to people, everyone from our funders to our board members, stakeholders, politicians, government leaders, naysayers, people who are on board, off board, what really has come across to me is that creativity is everybody's business. It's not just confined to the group of creatives. There's a vein of creativity that runs through all aspect of business, particularly the ones we're going to talk about, and but also entrepreneurship, startups, of course. There's creativity in that. There's creativity in innovation. There's creativity in manufacturing. One of the things that I like to say is that as Milwaukeeans, we come by our creativity and our innovation moniker really through our heritage. The original manufacturers, beer makers, cheese makers, old world artisans who settled our community were the original creatives and innovators of Milwaukee. Now 100, 150 years later, we are those creators, creatives, and innovators. I've learned, as I was saying, you know, I kind of talked to this broad cross-section of people for the past 4 months in one-on-one sit-down meetings, and I've heard lots of great things about Milwaukee and Milwaukee's creative community and the future of Milwaukee. And then I've heard a lot of people who are naysayers who have been saying, we don't have the right workforce, we don't have enough workforce, we don't have a prepared workforce, this and that. And that doesn't really interest me, the half of the conversation. I'm interested in the former part of the conversation of what is here, what do we have, and where are we going and what are we building upon? And that's really what we're going to talk about with the panelists today. But I have the word risk up here because there is an element of risk in any creative or innovative venture or adventure. And it's no wonder why some people are what they call risk averse, because look at the definition. A situation involving exposure to danger. Floating the law was too much of a risk. Exposing someone or value to danger, harm, or loss. Hazard, peril, jeopardy, danger, venture, chance. Okay, there's a couple of words. Adventure comes through. Risk can be about fear, or it can be about possibility. Risk is part of creativity, it's part of innovation, it's part of startups, it's part of entrepreneurship, it's part of life. And we can look at it as something to be afraid of, or we can look at it as a possibility. Oh, so there's me. Wondering what's possible now in my new role as Creative Alliance Milwaukee's new executive director and president. And as I thought about that, one of the things I was thinking was, gee, I wonder if it would be possible for me to become the Incredible Hulk. Anyone think that that's possible? That man does. All right, this is what's possible, people. So what I'm saying in this presentation here is that I'm the executive director of Creative Alliance, and I'm here at the MATC Motion Capture Lab to introduce what is possible. For me to go from that to the Hulk and back again, right? That's possible. Brian, thank you so much for having fun and putting me in that suit and dolling me up with a bunch of sensors and then creating me into the Incredible Hulk. So when we talk about what's possible, I mean, 5 seconds ago, maybe you thought it wasn't possible for me to be the Incredible Hulk, and then I just was. So what is possible? In my opinion, for Milwaukee, something that is possible is that the creative industries are the economic driver of our economy in southeastern Wisconsin. That's what's possible. In fact, it's not only possible, it's already happening. A lot of people wonder if the words art, creativity, and the economy can go together, and I say yes, they do. Do they pertain to you? Yes, they do. And why is that? Because creativity is everybody's business. Remember, you're going to hear that a lot. So let's get a little more concrete. Do you need to attract workforce talent? Do you need to retain the workforce talent you have? Do you need employees who can creatively problem solve? Do you need employees who can innovate? Do you want new corporations to locate to this region? Do you want to live, work, and play in a vibrant, thriving community? Do you want your children and grandchildren to be contributing members of the 21st century? And do you want to leave a legacy to your community, to your children, and to your grandchildren? I would posit, if so, then you must become actively involved in the creative economy movement here in Milwaukee. So as I've been talking to people for these past 4 months, something that I've noticed is that we kind of put ourselves in silos. We have the arts, we have education, we have those creative people that are, over there somewhere. We have a skilled workforce, we have successful businesses, healthy economy, vibrant community, and lots of other silos. And for some reason, we speak as if these are all independent, on their own entities or ecosystems or whatever the word is that people want to use. And again, I would posit, no, that's not the way that we're going to be that sports car, the economic driver of Milwaukee's economy as a creative community. We need to jump in the silo together and work together and collaborate. In case you think that I'm making this stuff up, there's a lot of other people saying similar types of things and talking about the creative economy as an economic driver all around the world and in the US. One I think is very important, creative economy initiative could serve as economic boon for Illinois, the people just to the south of us. A few years ago, the Creative Alliance Milwaukee commissioned some research, and one of the upshots of that research, and I'm going to share a few more details about it, is this, that with targeted focus, this creative cluster in southeastern Wisconsin will create jobs and businesses, enhance competitiveness of other businesses, and really be an important asset to attract and retain talent and increase the vitality and quality of life throughout the region. Who doesn't want that, right? So enter the Creative Alliance. The Creative Alliance really exists and strives to link, leverage, promote, and grow the creative industries. After talking to people for all these 4 months, what I've realized is that the Creative Alliance isn't going to create anything. We're going to link, leverage, and promote, and thereby grow the creative industries by working with all the good things that are already here and raise it up to add up to something even more. So just a couple facts and figures so you know what I'm talking about, what I'm saying, this creative industry and the creative economic cluster. This study that I mentioned, and I have a copy of it up front if anyone would like to look at it in more detail, it's comprised of 67,000 workers in southeastern Wisconsin, over $2.1 billion in wages. It's 4.2% of our economy, and there are over 4,000 area businesses, individuals, nonprofits, for-profits in the creative industries. So it's not just a handful of people. The way that it breaks down in southeastern Wisconsin is this pie chart. The performing and visual arts and culture and heritage are about 25% of our creative industries here. Another large portion, almost 30%, is media and film, which would be this department primarily. And then almost half is what's called design. It's everything from website design to architectural design, interior design, even construction and built environments. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the creative industries. I like to talk about the return on investment of what can a creative economic cluster do for southeastern Wisconsin, and it's exactly this, what the Mount Auburn report told us. The prosperity will result from creativity that directly and indirectly produces employment, makes the sector more competitive, contributes to making the region more desirable, makes people more innovative, and recognizes and rewards the talent that may lie outside the mainstream career pathways. The only point I take issue with is, what do they mean lie outside the mainstream career pathways? I think we're all pretty mainstream. So to close my portion of the presentation, I want to put out the Creative Alliance Milwaukee Challenge to you. And the first one is, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I'm so amazed as I've come back to my beloved Milwaukee, how many people knock the place where we all live and work and play. Don't be part of that, please. I encourage you all to get out and explore. The weather's nice, no more excuses. Go someplace new that you haven't been. You could become a sponsor of our Creative Milwaukee at Work conference, which is coming up in October. You could have an artist in residence at your place of work. I'm asking people to think about a buy local campaign. We talk about buy local in terms of food or handmade goods or things like that. I'm really encouraging the creative community and the businesses and organizations that make up the rest of our economy to buy local talent. All of you who are here as local talent, who are about to show your portfolios or have taught someone who's showing a portfolio, we need to keep saying this mantra, buy local. Oh, and then I'm asking you and inviting you to become a Creative Alliance member. And as I mentioned, through the end of May, we are offering a free introductory membership, and you can sign up for that at our booth in the area where the portfolio are being shown. So, what's possible? This is what's possible. It's possible that creativity is everybody's business, and if we work together, collaborate, link, leverage, and promote ourselves together, all boats will rise, our economy will become ever more strengthened, and we're going to have an even better, brighter, more lively and vibrant place to live, work, and play. So thank you. And now the moment that everyone's been waiting for. All of these attractive people back here. We're going to listen to what they have to say. So I would like to, we're going to talk about the state of the creative landscape in Milwaukee. And I'm going to just start by introducing by name and let each panelist introduce themselves. I'm going to let you do the mic here and then we'll turn these on. So first with us is Asif Bakar.
Hi, I'm Asif Bakar. I have a local is a keyword here, IT technology company. And what we do is we provide IT professional service, do custom software development, and we build mobile apps for clients.
Good afternoon. I'm Lynn Falk. I have a company called Retail Works in Mequon, Wisconsin. And I've been a store designer and an educator for 30 years. We basically manipulate consumer behavior so that really we're looking at environmental psychology and how when someone walks through a front door to buy a product or a service, we can make sure that that environment really speaks to your target market. It brands your space, creates and leaves a long-lasting positive impression on your customers so they keep coming back for more. I also do quite a bit of downtown revitalization work. Just in Wisconsin alone, we've worked in over 46 different communities, revitalizing downtown business and shopping areas. And then the other thing is we do give seminars and workshops, and I'm also part of the retail rally that's been started in the Milwaukee area. Hopefully some of you have heard about that.
Hi, I'm Susan Kearns. I'm the education director at Milwaukee Film. We're the organization that runs the Milwaukee Film Festival. It runs 2 weeks every fall. I oversee the educational programs and the filmmaker services programs. I also am an independent filmmaker on my own, and I'm currently in production on a feature-length documentary called Last of the Los Animus, and a feature that I wrote called Little Red is actually playing in the Cannes Film Festival. It has a market screening next week, so it's kind of an exciting time.
That's awesome. I'm Joe Peschel. I'm here to represent Startup Milwaukee, which is a group here in Milwaukee that aims to connect the entrepreneurial scene, both on the business, the creative, strategy, tech, physical product, everything. We're pretty excited to be growing as much as we are, and we have monthly events that typically attract between 100 and 150 people, and we highlight startups in the town. I also run a company called Polymathic, and the long and short of that is that we build web startups. So,
hello, my name is Matt Richardson, and I am the CEO of SmartWave. It's a Milwaukee-based digital consulting firm. We help people use technology to improve their people, processes, and systems. I'm also one of the founders of the Milwaukee Data Initiative, which is an effort by people within the community to try to encourage the sharing and opening of data, both at the public sector with government and also with nonprofits and private organizations. I'm also the board president of the African American Children's Theater, and I am very excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Heidi Witz, and I am a founder of Plaid Tuba, which is a newer arts representation, but more the business side of creativity, working with a curated group of artists, whether they are new to the field or they've been at it quite a while. We have a location in the 3rd Ward that we have 19 creatives, I should say, not just fine artists or visual artists. We have 19 creatives in our space there, and we're looking to expand soon. I'm also a partner in Reginald Baylor's studio, also housed in the Plaid Tuba space.
All right, so I selected the panelists based on, so that we would have a cross-section of those creative industries that I talked about. Remember the pie chart? And also because they're all really cool people and doing really awesome things, and everyone should know them. It also turns out that they're pretty bullish on Milwaukee, as am I. So here are some of the quotes that they gave me when I asked them to just give a couple words about what they think is happening in the Milwaukee creative community. So to get things started, we're kind of jumping off from these quotes. I had asked each panelist to answer some questions ahead of time, and they're not going to be quizzed on what they answered before, but I'm going to ask the question again. We're going to do 3 questions that we've sort of already talked a little bit about, and then we'd like to take questions from you. And I think we have to turn our microphones on now. Okay, so stop swearing back there. So, and I'm going to start, Asif, with you. Am I going to throw off the microphones with this? Okay. So, Asif, could you just share, and then I'm going to ask each of you to speak a little bit about this, some further thoughts, words, phrases, observations about what comes to mind in regards to the title of our discussion, the landscape, the creative landscape of creative Milwaukee?
I work in the IT industry, and in working with clients and individuals in IT industry, I see tremendous amounts of innovations and creativity that exists within this Milwaukee area. Just to give you a few examples, because when creativity happens in large organization, it gets pushed out and people know about it. When creativity is happening at an individual level, it becomes difficult to talk about it and promote it at an individual level. So just 2 examples of some of the work we have done with other organizations which are creative. One of the work we did was with Badger Meter, which is the 2nd largest water meter company. And they came to us and they wanted us to build a software that will allow their meter readers to just drive through a subdivision and read your meter reading. We built that software for them, and in past you might have noticed when you were kids or when you owned your houses that people would come and knock on your door, they wanted to read your meters. And now with the new technology, and again, this isn't new anymore, we wrote it probably 7, 8 years ago, people could drive through your subdivision and read your meters, and the amount of work that it took a meter reader in 4 days to finish could now be done in 2 hours. But cool thing was that because we got original data from Badger Meter, and they had data like grouchy lady, bad dog, and we pop up that message to the driver who's driving through the subdivision, grouchy lady or bad dog.
I'm talking to clients like Alan Edmonds about really bringing right brain thinking into how they sell their products. So really understanding the intuitive and instinctual side of how we react to variables like color and texture and proportion, ceiling heights, lighting levels, music, sound, noise, makes an amazing difference on the productivity of staff, as well as truly how much something is going to be sold. So we do have quite a few studies now. In fact, I would say most of our clients will find an increase in sales of between 25 and 45% after redoing an interior, looking at all the different variables. So business owners, executives are understanding that their employees are going to react differently in a well-designed environment. And I really call it smart design. And there's also the sustainable, eco-friendly design speak out there. And again, I just say that's all part of smart design. So for me, it's really exciting. I'm very business oriented. I'm very bottom line oriented. And so, in fact, my dad was a retailer. And he said, Lynn, if you're going to work with any sort of small business owner or retailer, you better make sure if you're going to take their money, you can increase sales. So I'm excited to see that left brain and right brain thinking are finally coming together and making a difference.
Can you repeat the question?
I can. So what I'm asking you to comment on are the trends and observations that you can make about the creative landscape right now in Milwaukee.
Well, I think the trends in creative landscape in terms of film in Milwaukee, film is everywhere. And as, sorry, as you know, if you get on the internet, it's easier to use film to explain things, to get people excited about things, and everybody's using it. Kids are using it. You know, there's talk out there that diaries sort of no longer exist for kids. What they have are photo albums and YouTube videos. So it's really this switch from, you know, from the printed word to film, which I find to be a really exciting medium, and I think it's something that, you know, technology is not something that I'm at all afraid of. I want to embrace it. I want to embrace apps and websites and, you know, just figure out how we can bring all of these things together and do new and interesting things with them. In terms of the creative landscape in Milwaukee, I feel like people get that. You know, every day I have people who are asking me, you know, do you know somebody who can do a video for this? Or will you come teach kids how to do a video for this? And I think that, it's just, there's in some ways just untapped potential for what film and media can do for Milwaukee in terms of getting our brand as a city even out to the rest of the nation or the rest of the world.
So we'll all speak to our specialties. Mine is then mostly startups and entrepreneurial sort of stuff and new business, which as far as trends go is really exciting right now, because about 2 years ago, I didn't even know that there was an entrepreneurial community in Milwaukee, as far as I thought of it. I was going down to Chicago to go to all of their events because they had them, and then we started Startup Milwaukee, and we did a couple of events, and you know, we would get 30, 40, then 50 people, and then for a little while, you know, it was kind of stagnant. We were like, okay, well maybe we should actually promote it a little bit more, and then we started getting 75 people, and then now we're getting everyone's just coming out of the woodworks, which is really cool, and it's growing within the collegiate areas, and you know, people fresh out of college, and then also now into the more experienced entrepreneurs and people that can provide mentorship and advising, and you know, even in some cases, you know, a little bit of capital to get a business growing. So then, as far as the trend goes, I would also say that a low barrier of entry is a really interesting movement that we have right now, because I primarily focus in the tech sector, and man, you know, you can sit in your dorm room and make a business out of it in one night. It's if you know, have a good idea and can maybe code something and have, you know, one of your buddies help you, and so that's a really neat thing that's happening within the Milwaukee community. There's a lot of excitement, and with a low barrier of entry, there's a lot of people getting into it and a lot of people trying new things.
I just wanted to make sure it was on. This current state of the creative, I guess, situation in Milwaukee, I'm going to redefine or clarify creativity as expression and disruption. And I think if you look at and clarify creativity in those two terms, there is an enormous amount of energy that's going on right now. Milwaukee is also trying to be highly competitive. We are, as a city, as a county, as a region, competing with Detroit, with Chicago, with Minneapolis, with Cleveland, with areas not only in our region, but also within the United States and around the world, to try to not just grow the best talent, but keep it here. So if we're looking at what is going on right now, as far as in those two scenes, as far as disruption and expression, you can go almost anywhere in this city in any given week and find those two things. You could go to a Startup Milwaukee event. You could go to a Milwaukee Tech Engine event. You could go to a Makerspace event. You could go to Locust Street Days. You could go to Gallery Night. There's an enormous amount of energy and activity that's going on right now, and I think that one of the trends that's going on is just trying to really keep all those people connected. Because when you start something like Startup Milwaukee, you find that, well, there's hundreds of people who want to talk about something. When you do something like the Creative Alliance, you find that there's all these people who wanted something that would connect them together, wanted something that would pull education and business together. And people were trying to do it, but now there's a single unifying force to try to do that. So I think that that's something that's exciting, that there's an enormous amount of things going on. And anybody who says that Milwaukee is not cool is obviously fooling themselves.
The creatives go to school for get MFAs and all those. There's what are they going to do at the end of that? And that's the driving force of what Plaid Tuba is trying to do within the city of Milwaukee and then regionally is find a way for these creatives, as an umbrella statement of all creatives, to be able to have a sustainable economic and a career built within that economy. Amen.
Thank you for those observations, and very interesting. So the next question I would like to ask, and then be thinking of questions because we are going to open it up to you. The next question that I want to ask you is, what asset or assets does Milwaukee, the creative landscape here in Milwaukee, currently have that if tweaked or augmented in some way would be transformative for the landscape? And anybody can jump in here now. We don't have to go in order.
I'm going to steal everyone's answer. Maybe, I don't know. No, actually, Steve and I were talking about it earlier, and it's getting things going within the collegiate level. It's kind of difficult, more difficult than any rational thought would warrant, but getting academia to like work together to bring together creativity, entrepreneurship, and business all into one sort of mindset. We uncovered a pretty cool saying, and it seems that a lot of colleges will teach you how to, will feed into business rather than teach you how to run a business, which was interesting. But that's something like, I mean, I graduated from Marquette. I went to MyEd also, like at the same time. And I didn't even know that, you know, doing my own thing was an option. Like, yeah, of course, like I knew I could be a freelancer or whatever, but that didn't really mean I can start a company. And I don't know, it just like wasn't an option. And that is something that if somebody had even said, or if I had been able to take a class, which I probably was, I just didn't know about it. But if they just were like, hey, do this, it would have been transformative a lot earlier on.
I would say actually that there is, as far as at least as, I guess it depends on where you want to split creativity in terms of creativity as far as professional creative industries, designers and architects and things of that nature, and fine artists, performing artists, things like that, because they tend to be separate in how their organizations are funded. That the universities, through the talent dividend, through some of the work with Open Mic, is really trying to they're actually doing a bit of a job in fostering entrepreneurship. There's now there's the Startup Challenge at UWM that's working with their engineering team. MSOE is pumping out some new entrepreneurs and startups. I think that MATC is doing this well. I know that Marquette has an entrepreneurship program where they teach lean business model startups. And MATC does as well. So, I mean, I think it's really interesting that that's starting to happen now. And there's probably still room to grow that. Whereas, colleges have all this space. And you have people here. I mean, thousands of people go through MATC, and they all have desires and ideas and creative thought, and they have time. And to be able to turn such a vast physical space into a co-working space for students and businesses and people to just sort of collide together. Tony Shea from Zappos was in town a couple weeks ago talking about forcing those collisions to happen and not just hoping that they happen. You really have to make those people get together, and then when they do, stuff just happens.
I just want to make a comment in, there is a lot going on here, and there's still also a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of bringing out the entrepreneurship. But one of the key things that Creative Alliance is doing, which is the missing piece in my mind when you talk about something that could be tweaked, is the motto you have come up with, which is link, leverage, and promote. You have these silos, and Maggie, you talked about these silos and collaborations, but in real world, these silos are very serious. I've met up with a lot of entrepreneurs who have great ideas, great innovations, great products, but they have not been able to link with the right investors. They have not been able to link with the right organizations who could purchase it. They've not been able to leverage banks to fund their startups. and there hasn't been an organization that can promote them, which eventually will turn into growth. So what Creative Alliance is doing is what we've been missing. And that's the energy we need in the assets we already have in Milwaukee and other parts of Wisconsin.
If I can speak specifically to creative filmmaking, it sort of goes along with this in that I was talking to you earlier and I said, I need you. And filmmakers definitely need business. And I think this speaks to that interdisciplinarity that you're talking about in that collaboration, because there's so many people who have so many skills in terms of creative filmmaking, but one of the pieces that's missing there is this business sense. And how do we go talk to people and convince them to give us money to fund a creative project? Or how, even what I was just saying, the fact that so many people are using film right now, how do we get people to really understand that if you want to create a product that sort of takes things to the next level, that we need more money. Right now, Milwaukee has incredibly resourceful filmmakers, and in some ways I would go so far as to call them scrappy, just because I'm really impressed with how much people can do with so little. And there's so much talent and so much resourcefulness. But I think about, those people who are using the highest end equipment that they can for 3 days, or the lowest end equipment that they can for 12 days. And what happens if we give those people the highest end equipment for 12 days? And then what comes out of that, and what can we do with that as a city and as a creative economy?
And then of course I'll bring in the built environment part of it, because there are so many groups. In fact, I feel I have actually toyed, don't tell anyone, but of moving my studio downtown Milwaukee, because honestly I feel like I'm downtown Milwaukee a lot these days, because there are so many groups getting together, there are meetings. But what I love are the places like Grand Avenue that's bringing groups together, the Hudson, Bucket Works. I mean, now we have built environments so that there are actually physical places to come and have these meetings and to network, versus just going to a bar and networking, which I have no problem with that either. But.
I'm finding that we're all speaking to our own groups, that whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, whichever sector, people are taking on their own. MARN, Milwaukee Artist Resource Network, they're taking on some educational portion of growing a group of creatives. I'm going to use the word creatives again, not just fine artists. And they're taking the education portion of that, trying to educate through the business and different things, not with taking over the school end of things or the higher education. And then we have Cam, is linking the business community with these creatives, working extremely well for what we're doing also, and I'm sure for whoever is on the panel with me. And I think there's numerous groups who are doing things and taking their own niche and saying, this is what we're going to focus on and do things well. And I think that's what I am seeing just recently. We've known about these groups around for a long time, and I'm seeing those things happen even better, and kind of defining, we're going to take this, you take that. There's not that competition that I would find as a troubling situation if everybody was trying to do one thing. I find that to be a positive thing happening just recently within the city of Milwaukee. Matt, you wanted to add something also?
It was kind of related to what everybody was saying a little bit, that there seems to be, and Cam has been a part of this, and organizations like MARN, and Plaid Tube is a part of this, Startup Milwaukee, everybody at this table is doing something that's a part of this. There's a shift in the way that language is being used. And I think that's a big thing that's happening now with the creative economy movement, is that businesses looked at creatives as designers and not as product innovators. That businesses looked at artists as people who they had to donate money to for some reason,
and they're weird.
Or they're weird, or they're going to do something. They're going to get naked and run around in the streets, which could happen. But I think that the language change is that when you're looking at technology, when you're looking at startups, that creative disruption, creative expression is a differentiator. It's a competitive differentiator for businesses now. And even for artists, when you're looking at artists, they need that language shift to go from why should a performance artist come and teach my staff team building skills? Could they even do that? Well, of course they can do that because they know how to work together in a team and express themselves and teach other people to do that. Those kinds of language shifts of art isn't just art. Art is a medium. It's something that you can use to build something else, or creativity is the same way.
And to dovetail with that, you know, I have a habit of speaking about creating business, but it doesn't also have to be about creating a business. It has to do also with innovating within a corporate structure and utilizing creativity to make something happen in a somewhat stereotypically not creative space. And knowing that it's possible and that it leads to your next promotion is a really something that, you know, if we're spitting out young graduates that understand that and are going to take that to their first job, not necessarily creating their first job, but taking it to their first job, that is a small shift in thinking that can make a massive output.
So now it's your turn to ask a question. I'll bring you the microphone. Does anybody have a question? Yes, I'll bring you the mic, excuse me.
I heard a number of times that one of the important things of the economy is looking for today is linking the universities to businesses. I own several businesses in both the IT industry and the graphic design industry, and we're having a problem getting universities to even return phone calls or connect or connect us to these people that are scrappy and creative. And I'm having difficulty finding these people that everyone's talking about being out there. What's the best way to get the attention of these people, or the attention of a university to even connect us to these people?
Well, one of the things that I do is I do serve on the MATC Design Advisory Committee, and I get quite a few interns from MATC. In fact, a summer intern is starting in a week, and I've hired 2 of the interns as employees now. So I would say get involved with the college or the university, and it's amazing what you can get back and who you'll get to know, and it'll open up some doors.
Every university has a standard procedure for how you can get interns. MATC has a very simple online form that you fill out. You send it in, you get a response back, they answer a few questions, you're like, okay, you're in, and then you can actually start applying for specific things.
But I just want to speak to that because I actually run the internship program at Milwaukee Film, and I actually encounter exactly the same issues. There are certain schools that I cannot break into. And then there are other schools where I've developed really nice relationships with people. And so now I actually go around those forms and I just email the people that I know and trust. And I'm like, hey, connect me with some students. So I think really, if you can get connected with students, get connected with a few people that you really like what they're doing at the school, then that's going to really open up your world for you.
In support of that, I think you could do a couple of things. One is that we've played a very new role, an enhanced role with Creative Alliance. If you're not connected, you should. On the board alone, we're represented by MATC at the dean's level, or associate dean's level, president of MIAD, the dean of the Peck School of the Arts, and I would start with the Creative Alliance. We can get you in to do those things through the contacts and the networks that we have. Secondly, I'd say go up and see the cream of the crop at Portfolio Night, because you'll see some awesome designers up there anyway.
Yeah. Maggie, this might be a really cool idea to do a reverse pitch creative educator mixer.
I think that's a great idea, and I think we've actually talked about possibly doing something like that. And something that's occurring to me is that I would love for all of us to probably get together either right now or later and have a beer and brainstorm some more about some of these. You've got your beer, good. Started, love it. Is there anybody else who has a question right now that they would like the panel to entertain? And if you can also introduce yourself so we know who we're talking to.
My name is Donardo Colucci. I'm a part-time professor here I have a company in Milwaukee, the Illuminati. And my question is for Matt about, you mentioned having a shared database for everyone to access. And MATC, with a partnership with Discovery World, was creating this virtual Milwaukee database. And the idea is it's going to be a database of the buildings, and you can keep building on it. We have the terrain, we have the buildings, we did a deep tunnel project. But the biggest hurdle was who maintains that kind of data? Who pays for the maintenance of that, of the servers? Where does it all happen? The physical reality of maintaining a database turned out to be the biggest hurdle. Everybody loves it and all, but once you get down to the nitty gritty, it got really hard. And so, yeah.
We should talk about that, because they could probably crowdsource the maintenance of that kind of system and maybe get the server space donated.
I love that answer. You know, it's like we can make it happen, and I think that's, you know, for me, when I have re-entered back into the corporate world, the slides that I was flipping through before were from me living out of the country in the jungle, and you know, coming back here to be able to answer like that. Hey, how about I crowdsource that for you? I mean, talk about new lingo. We're functioning in this whole new way and using a new language that really calls for us to be collaborative in the way that we work together. We can't function in the silos. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't matter if you're a manufacturer or a startup, an entrepreneur, or a long-time tradesperson. Nobody has the luxury of being in a silo. We all need to break down the walls, jump into that big silo together, and collaborate. And again, that's what Creative Alliance is about. And I think that's what I'm hearing from everybody here saying. And to me, that's the biggest game changer that's going on in the landscape of not only creative Milwaukee, but all of Milwaukee. And as we continue to build these collaborations, it's not 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 100. So it's exponential. I really appreciate all of the panelists coming today. And you know, someone was gonna give me a drink ticket, I think, so I'm gonna take you up on that after this. We'll be here for a little while longer to answer further questions, just one-on-one, mingling a little bit, and then I think we will go up to Portfolio Night as well and check out some of that awesome talent. So I'm just gonna turn it over to Brian. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, let's please give our panel here a hand, Maggie. Again, you know, thank you all for coming. Hi, Matt, Joe, Susan, Lynn, and Asif, and of course Maggie from the Creative Alliance. We want to thank them for their time here today, speaking with us. As of now, 4:30, the Portfolio Night is beginning upstairs in the main building, 6th floor. If you follow the walkway down over to the main building, head to the elevators up to the 6th floor, you can check out that great local talent that we have here, see all the excellent student portfolios, talk with them, see what they've got going on with some really, really creative things, and we're very excited about it. So again, thank you for coming. Look forward to seeing you upstairs. Thanks a lot.